Good morning, YouTube. I am coming to you from the assist step of a beautiful A36 TC Bonanza that I am doing an annual inspection on, and I wanted to bring you a video about whether or not I think owner-assisted annuals are worth the money, if they're worth your time, if they're a good idea, a bad idea. The thumbnail's probably like, owner-assist annuals, are they worth it? So if that interests you, as always, please stick around. I am going to start this video in a very weird place, and I'm going to start it by defending the shops and mechanics that will not do owner-assist annuals, because I did used to work at a shop and a flight school, or sorry, I should say an FBO and a flight school, and we did not do owner-assist annuals, but not because we didn't want to. We didn't do owner-assist annuals because the insurance wouldn't let us. And you might be thinking to yourself, how could the insurance not let you do an owner-assist annual? And the truth was, the insurance would not allow us to have students of the flight school or clients in the maintenance hangar doing work. It was very plainly stated in the insurance policy that flight school students and clients were not allowed to be in the maintenance hangar outside of certain situations. So for that reason, we didn't do owner assist annuals, because there is a pretty good chance of injury during an annual. It's not exactly the most safe operation. I mean, you can make it as safe as possible, but you are going to be jacking the aircraft and swinging the gear if it's retractable. You are doing compression checks, which lead to a lot of head injuries because of mishandled propellers and things of those nature. So sometimes it's just insurance won't let it. Sometimes it's company policy. People, they just don't want to do it because they don't want an owner or a client to get injured in their hangar, and they're liable for it. But barring all of that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about if I think owner assist annuals are worth it, if it's something you are allowed to do. The simple answer to that question for me is yes, and I'll tell you more why. The first reason that I think an owner assist annual is worth it, and this is going to sound weird, is it keeps me as the IA honest and responsible. And I'm an inherently honest person. I'm not dishonest. My wife will tell you that. But when you're doing an annual, sometimes there is the desire to look at maybe a floor panel or look at something that's really, really difficult to take apart, and you just might not want to do it. I've done it in the past where I've taken off one panel and then used a borescope to get underneath it, just because I didn't feel like removing an entire floor, but I still used a borescope because I had one to look at it. And the point of that saying is that doing an owner assist annual keeps the mechanic honest, and it keeps the mechanic on their toes to do everything and be extra thorough, because the owner is standing there, and you're also kind of justifying the cost of the annual inspection. They're not a cheap thing to get done every year, and if you're just going to change the oil and do a compression check and then charge the owner several $1,000s, they're probably not going to be happy. But if they're standing there for it and they actually see the involved process in 3-4 days worth of work that goes into doing an annual inspection, everything that has to come apart and everything that has to go back together, they'll feel a little bit more comfortable about that bill that comes at the end of the inspection. The second reason that I think an owner assist annual is worth it, and this is for the owner, is that it gives the owner of the aircraft an opportunity and a chance to not only learn their aircraft better, but maybe practice and see things that they wouldn't never do in a normal situation. And by normal situation, I do mean in a flight out attitude or in the air. For example, and I did this, I think I talked about this the other day in a short video I published. Gear swings are a good example of that. When you do a gear swing on an aircraft like this, you have to jack it, you have to swing it in the normal configuration twice, you have to swing it in the emergency configuration, and then in the normal configuration again. And really what you're supposed to be doing, and this is where having the owner there can be a big help if you're working by yourself like I am, is you're supposed to watch each landing gear leg come out of the well and go back into the well to make sure that it is free in movement and there's nothing binding it. So you need to do it a minimum of 3 times so that you can watch each landing gear. But the benefit of this is, and it's something I like to do, I like to put the owner of the aircraft or the pilot in the pilot's seat, and I say, okay, would you like to practice an emergency gear extension? Because outside of an annual inspection, you're never going to get to that opportunity. And the aircraft is already on jacks. I already have to do an emergency gear extension for inspection purposes, so I might as well let the owner do it and get a little practice doing it so that they know exactly where the emergency gear handle is, so that they know exactly where the circuit breakers are, what to reset if maybe they can get the gear working without doing a gear extension, all of those kinds of things. Also, since I'm talking about emergencies, they get a chance to pop out the emergency windows. This Bonanza has 2, there's one there, and there's one here. they get a chance to pop those out. That's something that has to be taken out and inspected during the annual inspection, and sometimes it's a pain because you have to safety wire things back together with copper, brake, safety wire, or whatever it is. And yeah, it's a pain, but again, it gives the owner a chance to do it. The third reason that I think an owner assist annual is very much worth the money is because, and I already kind of said this with the landing gear, but it gives the owner a chance to really learn their aircraft and really see what I'm talking about. When I point at something and I say, hey, this latch or this cotter pin is broken, it's missing, it's gone, whatever it is, they can see it, and it's a teachable moment if they're not a mechanic or if they're not super mechanically inclined, or even if they are mechanically inclined, they're just not really familiar with their airframe. It's a good time to show them how things work, where things are working, and what they're doing. Now, I've always been very fortunate, and I'd say it's like 80% of aircraft owners are really involved in their maintenance, and they're really involved in the inner workings of their aircraft. They're not content to just fly the aircraft unless it was maybe a flight school airplane. Most owners want to know more about their aircraft. Most owners want to get their hands in there. They want to see how everything works. They want to be more familiar with the systems. And I think that's a really good thing. I think that's a really, really good thing, because if you're not familiar with the airplane and something goes wrong with it, you might not know how to spot it. But if you're involved in the maintenance, and if you're involved in each of the steps along the way during annuals and during all your oil changes, then you're gonna have a better understanding of the aircraft. I also feel that if you've just purchased an aircraft, this is the fourth, and I guess this will be my final reason. If you just purchased an aircraft, let's say I just bought this airplane, and I had a pre-buy inspection done on it, and maybe it also had an annual inspection and I've started flying it, you don't really know this airplane very well because it's brand new to you. And again, just like learning your aircraft, this is a great opportunity to really dig into the airplane, that first annual with your mechanic, and get to learn the airplane very well. I just did an annual on a Mooney K rocket a couple months ago, and I uploaded it to the channel, and I did that with the owner. The owner is a dear friend of mine. We've known each other for about 7 or 8 years now. I've seen him go through a couple of different airplanes. I've worked on most of them. And he's a very accomplished mechanic himself. He went through the A&P program that I teach here in San Antonio, and he wanted to see his aircraft. He brought it all the way from Phoenix, Arizona to come see me so that we could do his annual inspection. And he was very, very involved in the entire process in cleaning things and disassembling things and putting things back together and really learning the inner workings of his Mooney K. And when I told him, hey, you want to jump in the cockpit and do an emergency extension? He jumped at the opportunity. He leaped in there so fast, I couldn't drag him back out. And not only did he do the emergency gear extension, a friend of ours who was also in the hangar did it as well. And I just, I think that thing's kind of cool. I like the camaraderie with the owner. I like the teaching element of it. I like being able to sit here with the owner and kind of go through things a little more in depth. So there you go, everyone. That's pretty much going to do it for this video. That's all I have to say on it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment. I will say the owner is not here assisting me with this annual. He usually does, but he wasn't able to do it this time around just because I think he was busy with other things. But that's okay. We'll get it done. We're about halfway through it. I've got the fuel system left, the cables, pretty much all the airframe, and a visual inspection of like the landing gear and everything else. So as always, y'all go build something and be easy.